Hey everybody, I hope that you guys are doing well. We are here with a timeless reading. Welcome. Okay, first card that we have out is Queen of Pentacles and the High Priestess. What this is feeling like especially right now is that you have stuff going on personally. It looks like you are taking a very intuitive and trusting approach. Like that's the route that you're using. So this can mean like, I trust myself and I trust my instinct as I'm moving through this. And so I'm like reflecting and guiding myself through my connection with my higher self with whatever personal matter this is of yours. This can also mean that you're keeping it to yourself as well. But you could be, okay, let's see. I'm seeing you be super connected with your intuition right now, but I'm also seeing the Seven of Cups too, which can be like, I feel like I'm receiving a lot of messages and I'm trying to make sense of them, and right now it's not making a whole lot of sense. So this can feel like overwhelm or confusion that you're feeling. And because of that, because of something not being clear yet, you can be like, maybe I'm not wrong, or maybe I'm not wrong. Maybe something's wrong with my intuition. Maybe I'm not picking up on something. It's like this feeling of like, am I really trusting myself right now? And also what I'm seeing too is that because you're still figuring out your feelings on something, you may feel like it's important for you to keep this to yourself right now because something's still being figured out, and you can feel protective over this. Yeah. Something's going on in your personal life. Maybe keeping this to yourself or only like really close people that you trust as you are moving through a process emotionally that may not feel super straightforward. Because of that, like if the Seven of Cups wasn't here, I don't think that you would feel a need to maybe show up in this way or be like protective over yourself, but I'm seeing you be in a position where it feels like you're feeling protective over your process. Especially too, because having your intuition be involved, it's like, I don't want anybody else to influence this. I want to be influenced by myself and my take on this and my interpretation and how I feel. And so I'm seeing you sort of have like this safeguard even. So this may be something that you're keeping to yourself now until you feel like you get to a point where you're like, even if somebody else says something, like I already know where I stand on this, so it's fine then. Like that type of thing. That's where I'm seeing you be currently. But you could feel like not letting anybody in or being very particular about like, this would be only people that you, is people even the right word? It would be like only beings that you would really trust, that you would be safe with, that it would be safe for them to be let in on this process, that they're not going to influence it in a way that you wouldn't want them to. Just in case you needed any reassurance, I'm seeing you be super, super tight with your intuition right now. So just because something may not be super clear, don't be thinking like maybe there's something wrong with the connection or anything like that. That's not the case at all. It's just this process is not straightforward. That's it. So this feels too like using your discernment right now to kind of keep this pure. Maybe you also don't want to be questioned about not knowing something right now. And maybe also you're like developing your own sort of like belief system within this, because that may be part of the reason of why you feel this way. Like what I'm seeing is that we have the High Priestess on like your inner circle of things, which is your connection with your higher self and like esoteric knowledge, like that type of thing, but it's in more of a free form way. And what I'm seeing be on the outskirts of things is the Hierophant, and that can be more like traditional religious beliefs. It doesn't have to, oh, my nose is itching. It doesn't have to be religious beliefs, but it can be like traditional beliefs. Like we've always done it like this, like that type of thing. But you could feel like you're connecting with something that feels very real to you, and that you may not need like all the rules and regulations that are associated with this, because you feel like you're getting the information that you need. But having the Hierophant be looking like it's on the outside of this energetically, you may not want like a type of judgment from people that hold certain beliefs. And you may not want that to influence sort of your process here and what it is that you're figuring out. But let's also like bring it back to a very like micro level. This can also be a part of you that's like, I was raised within like this situation with these beliefs, or raised around people that believe that. And so I've somewhat internalized that in a way. And I don't want that to get in the way of how I'm finding my way through connecting with my intuition, or connecting with this like mystical part of myself. So it's sort of like that type of thing that's going on here is what I'm seeing. But you may feel like a little bit at odds with yourself, and you could also feel like you're a little bit at odds with maybe certain people around you as well. But maybe you also feel, whatever these traditional beliefs are, you could feel like you've been like stifled by them in the past. To have Five of Swords here looking at that, it can kind of be like not wanting to co-sign that. Because Five of Swords towards the Five of Swords, this part of yourself that's like self-protective, having that aimed towards the Hierophant, it can be like I don't believe in those traditional beliefs. Or like, I think that that's old fashioned, like that type of thing. It can be cultural stuff too. Anything where there can be like a certain like principle or school of thought that you could be in a position where you're like, I don't want that to get in the way of like how I'm doing this over here. So this can also be like, I'm getting guidance in this way, or like I'm finding my way through discovering my own spirituality, and I don't want it to be influenced by this other stuff, but because it's coming up, it's relevant to you in some way. So this can mean like currently there could be people that would potentially like judge what you have going on, and you can be thinking about that. To have the Hierophant, that can also be connected with like higher education too. So it can be like, I have this type of job that may be like a scientific type of job, potentially, like I'm in that type of community, but also I believe in these mystical things that maybe the community like doesn't agree with. So there are lots of different ways that this can be, but ultimately it's about, I think, this part of yourself that still kind of may hold on to this potentially without you realizing at times or being aware of. Otherwise this wouldn't be bringing something up for you to have the Hierophant here. So it's stuff that you may have internalized. However, the way that you experience it is that it's like other people. But other people will like bring that up for you. I feel like that's not, there can be a better way to articulate that. Like other people may be a symbol of just the stuff that you're still carrying within you. So they're eliciting certain things, but if it didn't have that pathway to connect with something inside you already, like if that wasn't already there, it wouldn't be bringing anything up for you. But because I'm seeing something be brought up for you, it means that it's still within you. And that's what you may be seeing outside of yourself is actually connecting with. So it's like has this little pathway, but I'm seeing you be at this point where you may be like trying to cut off the pathway or like not let it in on part of your process. And you may even feel like you're moving away from certain things, like moving on from certain things. Like, I really used to believe that this was the way it needed to be, but now I'm not so sure that that's really the case because I may be finding a way that feels more fitting for me. Like that type of thing. But I'm getting this feels like a bit of a drawn out process, but you can feel too like in the process of all of this, I'm becoming more connected with my intuition and this like spiritual mystical side of myself. Whatever it is that you want to call it. It's like your connection with your higher self and however it is that you're accessing that, and also the things that come with that, like the abilities that come with that, the capabilities that come with that. So I'm seeing through this process, you're just inching like closer and closer towards the high priestess constantly. But you may feel like you needed to like leave something or move away from something or like transition away from it. But for some of you actually, when you look at this from a more zoomed out perspective, you can feel like the whatever like traditional basis this was that like you had or that you learned or that you were exposed to could actually potentially be part of the foundation that ends up connecting you back with yourself. So even though it can be something where you're like, I oppose this and I don't believe in it, for some of you, you're finding that even some of those traditional beliefs, I'm not saying everything, but some of them you may feel like are more connected with your intuition than you think. So there can be some foundational stuff that when you're going through your like individuation process where you like break away from the pack, you could be like, I detest this completely. Like, I don't identify with that at all. But when you like come back around, you may find that there are things within it where you're like, no, that actually does resonate with me. But you could feel in the beginning like you have to push all of it away first. And that's usually how it goes. But I don't know if you're at that point yet. You may be like at a very different stage within this cycle. Be mindful of the opposition. Something to be aware of. You may find that even though the opposition is important, the whole progression of things is very important. You can find at times that if you feel like the opposition is like the final destination, that you still feel like you're in a space that feels very separate. Like there's a lot of separation still, and you may feel like a lack of honest self-union in a way. Like you want to be bringing all of the parts of yourself together. How to get further? This feels very, very conceptual still. There can also be something going on where you feel like you have a lot of options that you're trying to sort out, and simultaneously you could even feel like, I mean, with the Hierophant, but also having the Eight of Wands here, it can be like something that you were doing before that maybe you don't want to do that. I'm getting something specifically about medicine coming through with the Hierophant. Like I'm getting stuff about doctor, actually. So there may be something like in that vein that's connected with things. That can also be a separate message for someone, but I'm getting that specifically, something medicinal about this Hierophant card. Just for this reading particularly. But yeah, you can actually, this can even be like a role that you've played before in the past that now you look at that and you're feeling a type of way about it and you're like, why do I feel that way? Because this was something that I once believed in even. It can be like that sort of thing. But it feels like you're at this point where maybe that was then and like this is now, and right now you feel like you have a lot of options around you. You're trying to make sense of it. You feel like it doesn't make sense yet. And you feel like you don't want to be pushed back into maybe playing a role that you had been before. And I'm seeing that you are making progress, definitely, but you could feel like you're making progress away from what you know or what you're familiar with. And you know that you're moving and you know that you're making progress because you know things are like moving and shifting and changing and whatnot. But I'm seeing you like simultaneously be feeling like there's a lot going on, and maybe it's also a lot to handle. Although I'm seeing a lot of work that you've done. Like having the High Priestess and having 8 of Pentacles here, I would look at that and read your energy as somebody that's like very well versed and very knowledgeable when it comes to like spiritual esoteric type things. Whether this be in like a well-rounded sense, or there are like certain activities that you like to do that are like divination or healing or spirituality, like that type of thing. Like High Priestess and 8 of Pentacles shows you being like very, very, very well versed when it comes to this type of like spiritual esoteric stuff. Nonetheless, I'm seeing you have all of that sort of like in your back pocket, but we have 7 of Cups popping up, which can be like, I don't know, you feeling perplexed about something here? Can be like, well, I know all of this stuff, but what am I supposed to do with it? Like, where do I go with that? Like, what am I really supposed to be doing? It can feel like that. There may be, you may be, I'm seeing something having to do with a change. I'm seeing it be connected with what you're investing in. And I'm seeing the Knight of Wands, which would very much be, you could be exploring different things that you feel interested in. Let me see if I can make more sense of this 7 of Cups. Because the 7 of Cups is that card of like, I feel confused. There's a lack of clarity. I feel like I have a lot of different things in front of me, like which one is the one, which one is the way. What is my intuition saying? Because you can be like, okay. If you have a lot of options in front of you and you're trying to pick something, I'm actually seeing a way that you can start refining or like making this smaller, like cutting out options, is actually by looking into, rather than what you feel does resonate with you, actually looking into what you feel doesn't resonate with you rather than what does, which is like not the usual approach that I see. But what I'm seeing is that if you're looking at any of these options and you're like, that doesn't feel aligned with my values, or like that doesn't feel reciprocal or like equal or whatever it is that I need it to be, like cross those things off the list. Because it feels like you have a bunch of something and you're trying to like pick through it. So this can mean too, like making an actual list of whatever this is, whatever these options are. And I'm seeing like the first thing to do with this is to see what if this like does not align, like what of this does not feel reciprocal, what if this does not feel aligned, and mark those things off. Also too, I'm seeing your guides be like, you don't need to rush through this process either. This is something that's going to take some time. So that can mean there can be a lot of different ways that you can do something too. too like you have a lot of work to do, or a lot that you're doing. Okay. It looks like there's some stuff socially that's going on as well that's tied into this. I do feel at the end of the day, because I'm seeing a few different ways that this can relate to the energy, like a few seemingly very different like scenarios that this reading can apply to. What I'm looking at is you may have found yourself in a situation where you were like really following your intuition, but you're at this point where you're still trying to make sense of something, and you could feel that you had an idea of the way that something is supposed to be, and it may have been very particular, but you could feel like you're progressing beyond that now at this point. But in progressing beyond that, I'm seeing you be at this point where 10 of Wands and 8 of Pentacles is like, I'm like working constantly, or I'm showing up constantly, but I feel like there's a high volume of something, so it can feel like there's stress that's involved, and so being organized with everything that you have going on is really important. And I'm also seeing stuff about like your relationships as well, and socializing be a part of this too. And on top of that, I'm also seeing liberation, which this card is liberation in this deck. It's normally judgment in a regular tarot deck. So there can be something that you feel you want to free yourself of or free yourself from. Even in like some type of social setting. So that can also mean too that there's something that you're looking into socially. And you may be pulling back and taking your time because you want to reflect on this. But you could be at a spot where this may be difficult for you to do for some reason. But it seems like it's integral in relation to your sense of happiness and well-being. Because I'm seeing just something that feels on a personal level stressful for you that you're moving through. I'm seeing you be very well versed intuitively and like really connected in that way, have made so much progress intuitively that it seems like just whatever practices you use to connect with yourself or like get information, I'm seeing them be very solid for you. Like this is not a beginner's energy. This is like very, very, very advanced, the way that you connect with your higher self. I'm seeing that there's something going on here that feels like a somewhat confusing or unclear situation happening socially. So there's something that you're still trying to make sense of that has to do with like relationships, social situations. Something that's being figured out. Having 5 of Swords and having Judgment here, this is about looking into what is making you feel unsafe right now? Like what is going on that you're feeling like unsettled, or you're feeling triggered, or however it is that you want to label it. It's this part of yourself that's like feeling like you need to be protective of yourself, or feeling like you can't relax because you feel like you need to watch your back for some reason. Like why is that popping up? Where is that coming from? And there can be something socially that's going to happen that's connected with this. Like maybe you're going to maybe free yourself from certain relationships that you have that aren't aligned with this. There can also be other things that you want to keep and other things that you want to protect as well. This feels too like analyzing your belief Analyzing your beliefs and your belief systems sort of surrounding this situation is going to be helpful to you making progress, and also feeling like you're liberating yourself from something that you may feel pretty chained to right now, but it's because you're feeling a type of way. It's like your higher self may want to be done with this situation, but your ego is like, I'm not done yet. Like, I didn't do this yet, or I didn't do that, or whatever. Like, I'm seeing your ego be the one that's sort of keeping you within a situation, but your higher self is like, I don't really want to be here doing this anymore, because this isn't making me happy. So like, why are we still doing this? So it can be that type of thing where like your higher self makes things very, very easy for you, where it's like, oh, that's the thing that's connected with like resonance and fulfillment. And your ego is like telling you that something's not resonating with you, but like still playing within that because it's like not finished yet, because it has something to do or something to accomplish. So that's also something to look at too. Like, do I actually feel happy tending to this? And like trying to figure out this thing that doesn't really make sense. Do I need to keep spending time doing this, or is this something that I can just be like, and like walk away from it, you know? So it's about figuring that out. Like, what do you want to be spending time doing, and knowing that you have the choice at the end of the day. But this can also be, now that I'm thinking back, there may have been something socially that happened, something socially that took place, whether it be a particular situation or a particular friend, or just something more in a general sense. Something may have happened that you felt like is not resonant with your values, or like it wasn't, you could have felt like there was a lack of reciprocity, and you could have felt thrown off by that. Something socially that happened. Or something with like a friend or your friends or something is what I'm seeing. And it could have been something that like riled you up in some way. And even though you may not have reacted to it, it can be something where you're still spending time on this, but it's like not something, like you may not feel super happy to be still trying to figure this out. And that may be a clue for you that maybe this is something that's not gonna make sense. And if it doesn't make you happy to keep doing this, or you don't feel a sense of fulfillment, maybe something that you're gonna give like less energy to moving forward. I'm seeing Taurus, and I'm seeing the moon here as well. So this is definitely something emotionally happening. And also Taurus can be connected to with like what we are holding on to. I'm also seeing Cancer on the bottom of the deck. Okay, my friends, we are going to leave the reading here. I would like to thank everyone. Taurus can also be connected with like, you may be feeling like stubborn about something, or you may feel like somebody else is being that way about something, like rigid. Unforgiving, I'm also hearing that. All right, I want to thank everyone for connecting. Thank you for tuning in. I hope to catch you guys next time.